full of tears, baby, know I'm here waiting. Close your precious eyes and just realize I'm still fighting for you to be with me and sit under this tree and we can watch the sunrise. We can watch the sunrise. Wake up, feel the air that I'm breathing. I can't explain this feeling that I'm feeling. I won't go another day without you. Feels like no one's around, but baby, you're wrong. Just get rid of the fear, I promise that I'm here, I'll never be gone. So baby, come with me and we can fly away, or we can watch the stars shine. And baby, you can be my love. Oh, wake up, feel the air that I'm breathing. I can't explain this feeling that I'm feeling. Another day without you, hold on, I promise it gets brighter, and when it rains, I'll hold you even tighter. I won't go another day without you, and this is me tonight. There's no more games and no more lies, and I know it's right, 'cause of the way disappear. I'm glad you're in my life. Wake up, feel the air that I'm breathing. I can't explain this feeling that I'm feeling. I won't go another day without you. Hold on, I promise it gets brighter, and when it rains, I'll hold you even tighter. I won't go another day without you, and I won't go another day without you.
So I hopped on a train, 3 in the afternoon. I don't know when I'm coming back, but I hope that it's soon. See, I never thought that I'd ever leave your side, your side.
It's only physically, but know that you will be on my mind 24 hours at a time. 'Cause in my eyes, you are mine, you are mine, yeah.
No matter where you go, I won't be very far.
'Cause in my head, I'll be right there where you are. 'Cause love is no distance, baby, love is no distance, baby, no, not when it comes to you and me.
Welcome to Space Pod.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Space Pod, or should I say welcome back to Space Pod. For you new viewers out there, SPACE stands for Samahang Filipino Advancing Community Empowerment. We are an outreach group at UCLA that assists students in pursuing higher education and attaining their post-secondary goals. We have 3 sites, El Camino College, Van Nuys High School, and Carson High School. We offer several free services, including tutoring, advising, or mentoring, academic and professional workshops, field trips, and conferences. My name is Krista Antonio, and I'm a 4th-year Asian American Studies major at UCLA. I've been involved with SPACE for almost 2 years, I would say. I'm currently a peer advisor for Carson High School, and before we begin, I would like to introduce you to the Carson Podcast Committee, consisting of both myself and one of our very own Carson High School students.
Hello, I am Dustin Enriquez from Carson High School East Set, and I'm in 11th grade, and I've been involved with SPACE for 2 years as well, this being my 2nd year.
Yes. Thank you, Dustin. And today for our podcast, we actually have 2 very special people, previous and current SPACE members. So would you guys like to go ahead and introduce yourselves?
Hi everyone, my name is Beatrice Avancena. I go by Bea. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a 3rd year International Development Studies major with a double minor in Global Health and Film. What were the other things? Oh yes, my involvements in SPACE. So last year I was a Van Nuys peer advisor. This year I'm an El Camino peer advisor, and I'm also the SPACE internship coordinator.
Yes, you are. Credentials. Okay, and go ahead.
Okay, hey, I'm Thea. I'm a 2nd year psychology major and an Asian American Studies minor, but I'm thinking about double majoring. And how I was involved in SPACE, I was a Wintern just this past winter quarter.
Amazing. Well, thank you guys for joining us. We have a lot of topics we want to cover with you guys, as well as learn about your guys' experiences. So just starting off from the very baseline beginning, where did it all start for you? How did you hear about SPACE? Let's start with that.
Yeah, so for me, I first heard about SPACE when I took a tour of SAC with my spirit counselor, Elaine, as a first year, first quarter, fall quarter. She was like taking me around SAC and showing me SPACE and Sphere and everything that like I might need as like resources or things I want to get involved in. And I was a little bit scared to join anything so early on in my first year. So I decided that I was like, oh yeah, I think I'm going to get involved like maybe my 2nd year. I wanted to take it slow. But then I was also on Samahang Modern, which was a dance team at UCLA. And because I was on that dance team, there are some people who were part of SPACE. So Harold and David. David was taking the internship that quarter, and Harold and were on staff. And they were all talking about SPACE. And I remember David was like, just take the internship, like, you can definitely juggle everything, because that's what I was most afraid of. And so because of their like encouragement, I decided to take SPACE internship that winter quarter, so of my first year.
Oh, wow. Okay, shout out to SPACE Modern. We'll get into that later, but good to know. And then you, Thea?
So for me, I got introduced to SPACE, I think fall quarter of my freshman year because of Kevin. He's for people that don't know, that he's the El Camino site coordinator this year. And basically, he kind of just threw it out there for me and was like, I think you'd be really interested in this. But the thing is that I wanted to adjust my first year, so I didn't take internship until winter quarter this year. And yeah, it was really cool because his main thing was he knew that I'm very like interested in like peer counseling and stuff like that. That's the whole reason why I'm a psych major and all of that stuff. So he really wanted to push me into it and like get a feel. And yeah, it's been a really cool thing. It's honestly one of the biggest highlights of my UCLA career.
Yes, I bet.
That's a big statement.
Yeah, it is. And she said it proudly, with pride. Proudly with pride. That was redundant.
Speak them
It's
words.
okay. The extra pride right there.
So, what would you guys say is your favorite space memory? And it could be anything.
Hard question, tough question.
No worry, even I have a hard time answering this question. It changes every time.
Are we limited to one?
No,
Say a few if you want to.
I think it's very hard to limit it to one.
Yeah, it is. So like I think I have like 3 different ones in mind, and I'll just like say it. I'll try to like condense everything. But the first one that came to mind it's something that like a lot of space staff also say, and that's winter retreat 2020. So basically like the one that just passed. Just so many good moments, and I can't really describe it, and I'm not even going to try to, because I know that none of it will do the experience justice, but I think everyone that was present knows how special that was. So yeah, space staff retreat, winter space staff retreat. The second one would have to be I think the hi-fi field trip. That was really special for me too, just because during my first year on space, I didn't go on any of the field trips. So the San Diego one, fall quarter, and then the hi-fi one this past quarter were my first 2 field trips with space. So just being able to go on that field trip and like see all of the space students and be with space staff, like it was just like all really, really special. And being able to explore hi-fi really empowering in itself. And then the third one is actually something that happened pretty recently, and it was during internship this past Monday. And even though everything got moved like online, including internship, a lot of the experiences are still the same. They're still filled with so much passion. So it's been really good this past quarter. But I do have to say that the facilitation we had on Monday was very powerful, because we ended up inviting a lot of different guest speakers. So it was really nice to be able to share the space with them as well.
Wow, that sounds like a lot of, just, I don't know. I was curious and wanted to go into it a little bit more later about the internship experience, especially the topics you guys discussed, this past Monday that made it that much more empowering. Yeah, thank you for sharing your experiences. Thea, what was one of the most highlighting things in space journey so far?
You can say multiple.
Yes.
I think the first thing that comes to mind is definitely the hi-fi trip, because it was only 2 of us Winterns that went, so I was kind of nervous because I was just like, I feel almost like intruding, but that was definitely, I was like proven otherwise, because it was just such a welcoming environment, and it was just really cool to see all the dynamics of all the different schools and having them all in one place, because in internship we don't get to go to every single site, so it was really cool to see what everyone was talking about and how everyone interacts as one, and we all just come from different backgrounds but have this like shared community. If that makes any sense. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yes, absolutely. Good to know. Okay, well, we have a question in the chat going off of the topic you guys just discussed. So I guess for our viewers who are not really, or who are kind of new to internship, or like people who are potentially interested in applying, and for me and Dustin as well, who have actually never been a part of internship, can you guys kind of describe what it's all about? Maybe go over like the structure of your Monday afternoon classes and things like that, from the student and the teacher perspective.
Yeah, I can go off a little bit more on like structure, and then maybe Thea can talk about like her experience as a Wintern. So basically, I co-facilitate space internship with Justin Lainez, who is PTSP's BIC, Bayanihan Investment Coordinator. That's what BIC stands for. So yeah, we co-facilitate the internship, and basically every single quarter we get a new set of interns who apply for the internship, and then we kind of use like the similar or a similar curriculum every single quarter. We just change a few things based around what the interns want, and that's pretty much what we get from like the applications and just like things that we can improve on for that quarter. But a lot of it is structured around PIL-AM narratives, experiences, and how we navigate through, I guess, like college and how we I can't even talk anymore, and how some of these like conditions inhibit our access to higher education. Um, so yeah, so there's just a bunch of different things, and something that I always like to highlight is that even though like Justin and I are up there and we kind of like we talk about the assignments and we give out the assignments, we give out the readings, it really is the interns who kind of fill it. So an analogy that I like to say is that like, yeah, Justin and I provide like the cup, but the people who fill it are the interns because they're the ones who talk about their experiences. They're the ones that talk about like what they've been through in the past, and they're the ones that make space internships such a vulnerable but also compassionate and empowering space.
Wow, that cup analogy, man, that hit home. That hit home. Do you have a response to that, Thea?
I think one of the biggest things about like the internship experience, well, at least for me, is that it was super validating, especially as a 1.5 generation Filipino American. It's like, I remember, I think it was the first day of internship, Kiana, which is another one of the interns, when she was basically describing what like a 1.5 generation college student was, and then someone replied and say like, oh yeah, they have a word for that, it's called the 1.5 generation. And it was just like something clicked, and you could just see how like she was genuinely like not shocked, but something clicked with her. And that's how I felt when I learned about the 1.5 generation. And then basically everything you learn in internship just kind of like makes everything click. When we were talking about mental health stigma and how it manifests in like the Filipino community, you have to dig back into our history. And it was just like, it's so many of these topics we don't speak about, and to finally speak about it in a room where everyone has a shared similar experience, like it just is super reassuring, and it definitely makes you feel supported in a community.
Ooh, that sounds like a pretty good spiel right there. By the way, I'm keeping track of space puns. We got one.
The cup analogy, there it is.
For upper division unit class, and it counts for the H&M major and minor.
There you have it, folks.
There we have it. So there's a question in chat. PTSP. So would you like to go more into that? Any one of you two? Babe? Okay.
Yeah, so PTSP is basically like the transfer organization at UCLA, and we basically like merge space internship to consist of both PTSP and space, because we do like to highlight one's access to education, and sometimes that looks or most times it looks different for every single individual. So that also includes transfers that end up going to UCLA. And it's like the reason why PTSP is involved with space is because like their experiences are valid and needed as well. So most of like the internships consist of like transfers and traditional students, just so that we all understand like, oh yeah, so you only have like 2 years or maybe even 1 year at UCLA. How does that differ with my experience, and what kind of resources are available for transfers here? And then there's also that like the community school stigma, where a lot of individuals don't want to go to community college because of certain things that are stated about it. So we try to hear what everyone has to say and like how we can better support one another, even though we have different narratives.
Yes, retweet all the way. Cool. So just going off of that same kind of topic of, the whole transfer process and things like that. Bea specifically, I know you started off at Van Nuys High School, and then this year you actually transitioned to El Camino College, which is community college. So there's definitely a big difference between, serving the high school community versus community college. Can you kind of go into your experience with that, like comparing and contrasting the differences at each site? And yeah, especially because, a lot of us as staff don't get the opportunity to cross sites like that. So it'd be interesting to know the whole structure of how Elko is for those who are just kind of used to the whole high school vibe.
Yeah, let me try to think of how to like properly say this, because there's definitely like a lot of things that I can say. But first I do want to go back to PTSP because I forgot to say like what it stands for, and it's Filipino Transfer Student Partnership. So that's PTSP. So in terms of like trying to find the differences between serving serving a community college and a high school, there's definitely like a lot of different things that you can find, and I think that's something that you can find like across campuses as well, even like across high schools. But I think the biggest difference is the kind of like rapport you build with our students. And I feel like in the high school setting, there's, how do I explain it? Like, I think the kind of rapport you build is similar to a kuya ate type of vibe. And not saying that that's like the kind of relationship we all try to strive for, but I feel like in the high school setting, that's something that is common. Whereas like at community college, or at Elko, since we're all kind of like the same age or even just like a year apart, it's kind of more that like friendship type of level instead of like a whole mentor-mentee or like kuya ate. It's definitely I don't know. I don't really know how to explain it, but the relationships that you build is pretty different. And I think some of the things that you even encounter, like some of the situations, can be different as well. It's yeah. Actually, I miss like the biggest difference between like Elko and like the high school sites, and that's the fact that at Elko we don't have peer tutors.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So I forgot to mention that that's like a pretty big thing at Elko. Everyone on staff for Elko, we're all peer advisors. So that's like a pretty big difference, because in the high school sites, like you'll see a PT or you'll see a PA. So yeah.
Going off experiences, Thea, being a 2020 Wintern, if I'm not mistaken, how was your internship experience? And if you can, you think you can describe your first like site experience?
Ah, yes, the site visits.
My first site visit, I was low-key really nervous because I didn't know what to expect.
Weren't we all?
Yeah, we were just kind of told like the gist of what was supposed to happen. They're like, "Oh, you might facilitate or something," and I'm like, "I might facilitate what?"
Same.
But it was honestly, we came like the day that I went was super chill and all that stuff. It was like at first, because the first time I went with Alfred and other Wintern, and we kind of just like looked at each other like.
Which site did you go to again?
Carson.
Oh, okay. Now, is that the only site you got to visit?
Carson. But it was really cool because basically all the students were super just like welcoming, and you just feed off of their energy and stuff like that. So after like the first 10 minutes, honestly, all my nerves just kind of like went away, and just like it was just very free flowing. And I remember I think me, Alfred, and Nathan were all talking with Princess because she had to finish a
Princess.
poster, and I was helping her finish it because it reminded me of all the time that I made posters in high school for everything that I used to be a part of, and it was just like so nostalgic and stuff like that. And it was just such an easy conversation to go through, and it was really cool just to see how like high school is from like another high school perspective when you're out of high school now. And another thing about Carson is this, I felt some type of weird connection to it because my cousin went there 15 years ago. So it was just like, I don't know, it was an all around just really good experience.
Love that. Love it. Love it.
Definitely
Cool.
sound like Carson.
I know it does. I feel the vibes already, honestly. Yes. Okay, cool. So now that we have your input on your guys' internship experience, what advice do you guys have for, potential applicants who are kind of considering it but are on the fence? Because I think for you guys, I gotta hand it to you both because being up there as internship coordinator isn't easy, and at the same time being a student, especially with all this cultural knowledge being thrown at you, it's very powerful and stimulating for some students who have never even been exposed to Filipinx culture. And so Bea and Justin, you both serve a very substantial role in this whole understanding of your identity. So yeah, what kind of words of advice do you have for people who are considering it but still need that little push? This is your elevator pitch per se.
I'm trying to think because when I heard advice, I thought of one thing, but then when I heard of like, oh, a push for it, I heard a different thing. Actually, I think I'm going to combine both of them. So this is going to be hopefully it'll encourage people to join, but also this is an advice for people who already want to join, and that's to keep an open mind and an open heart, which is one of my favorite things, or I guess like, because we do like ground rules, but basically that's like one of my favorite things to kind of like live by. And for those who need that kind of extra push and encouragement, this space will definitely challenge you to be vulnerable with like 19 other strangers. And that is something that's like very unique. Like you don't get that kind of experience anywhere. And that's why Space Internship is so unique, because there's a new set of interns every single quarter. Every single person has a story that you can learn from. Every single voice is just so powerful and filled with so much passion. And so, just being able to have like an open mind and open heart, like even though it could be kind of scary, walking into that space where you might not know anyone and it might feel a little weird sharing so much of your personal self with strangers, it's very empowering and it's very inspirational. And so that's also a piece of advice for individuals who are interested in applying, that it's going to be vulnerable. You're going to have to talk about experiences that maybe only your journal knows about. So it's kind of like a space where you can grow and learn more about your identity, yourself, your culture. But yeah, there's just like so many different layers to it. Thea, do you have like anything that you want to add?
I feel like you covered most of it, but one thing is to say is that it's really a unique and fulfilling experience, and like it doesn't hurt to learn more about your culture, because you truly don't know what you don't know until you're like given it. And I don't know, it's just Space Internship definitely gave me a newfound pride in my culture, because even though I grew up among a lot of other Filipino Americans, we all kind of just acknowledge like, oh yeah, we're Filipino American. We crack jokes about our immigrant parents every once in a while, but we never like actually talked about our culture. So, like Bea said, like don't be afraid to be vulnerable, because honestly, I think being vulnerable is one of the most powerful things that you can do, because it's like you're taking ownership of everything that you feel and stuff like that. So I'm just saying.
Yes, you heard it here, folks. There you have it.
I'm gonna need that one.
Suddenly, I want to apply for internship as my last quarter. But no, there you go. There you have it, folks.
Ooh, I'm gonna take all that into account. All right, so diving a little bit away from space, what are you guys' plans for the upcoming year? Bea being a senior and Thea being a third year.
Oh, there it is. They didn't want to hear that, but had to hit it with them.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But I had to.
You know, it is a lot to think about considering,
Yeah.
you know, the circumstances. I don't even know what I'm gonna be doing in like a
December or
week.
something.
But yeah, so what are your like overall goals? Like just kind of your vision for the next year, I guess.
Take your time. We know it's
No,
tough.
take all the time you need.
Yeah, like there's definitely like just so many things like to like think about with that question, especially with like the situation that we're in right now. I don't really know what UCLA will look like next year. Hoping for the best, but you know, we'll see. Time will tell. So I feel like it's going to take a lot of, or let me. Oh, actually, I know what to focus this on. So I actually want to drop my film minor and get the. I really, really, really want to graduate with the Filipino Studies minor, and it's going to go live. It's going to go on its first year this upcoming fall quarter. So this is literally like years of hard work of trying to advocate for recognition, you know, for our culture, our identity, our experiences, and the fact that UCLA finally has a minor for it is definitely like a big. It's a huge thing to see and even live through. So I really want to be part of the first class that graduates with it. The only part about it that might be difficult is that means I have to take on 9 extra classes. So that just means maybe doing summer classes and then just maxing out my units. So so you know, it's gonna be a little tough, but I don't see myself like focusing on anything else than like really, really trying to graduate with that minor. But I might also try to do more. I'm trying to do things like a little bit more towards like professional goals. So seeing what I can get myself involved in during the year, even if that has to be like remote. We have to see with that. Originally, I was supposed to study abroad next year, and since that got canceled, there's just like a lot of things I have to figure out. But we'll just see.
Wow, that's a lot. Like, props to you. Can you actually like go over forgive me if I'm mistaken, but you are an IDS major, global health minor, and film-ish double minor because you said you wanted to switch to the Filipino studies minor. So can you kind of like go into describing what each of those majors are about for the people at home like me who like can't decipher between each of them and like if they align in some way? Yeah, so like what is this whole stacked credential all about?
Yeah, so international development studies. If I like refer to it later on, I'm probably going to say IDS because it's shorter. So basically, IDS is one of those like interdisciplinary majors at UCLA, which means that it covers a lot of different fields of work, I guess, or you can just kind of look at it as like a mixture of different majors. That might not even be the most accurate way of saying it, but basically, the main focus of it is to figure out why certain countries are more developed than others. And that's kind of like what you'll find in the website. And the way that I kind of look at it is really looking at like the institutional and structural, governmental, economical, political, cultural, all of these different things, and like all of these structures and how they impact or not even just impact, but how they create disparities found across the world. So I think the reason why I got so passionate about this major was because I was born here in like America, but I lived in the Philippines for a couple of years. And after moving here to California, I constantly visit the Philippines, and that kind of disparity between like living situations was always prominent to me. And I constantly questioned like, okay, so how come like the Philippines is like this? How come Manila is like this? And America's like this, blah, blah, blah. And so being part of this major really helps me understand all of the different historical phenomena, like colonization and how that's impacted and created these disparities. So yeah, and I think global health kind of falls very closely with IDS, because something that like I'm really passionate about is seeing how these disparities also cause disparities in access to healthcare and like health outcomes across like the world. So that's kind of why I ended up taking on like global health, to kind of look at health, but in a more, I guess, I don't know how to explain it, because for me, I always look at like healthcare and like all that stuff as like related to STEM. So that was something that like kind of turned me off about it. But then seeing how global health is a little bit more, looking more so at like cultures and like people's beliefs and values and countries, like how they're set up. I think that really interested me. And then the reason why film kind of got thrown in there was because I think like during my second year, I was like, oh, I kind of want to create documentaries or maybe produce like a docu-series that involves looking at different countries and figuring out how their healthcare system looks like. So that's why I kind of threw film in there, but I feel like I can just take like film internships if I want to continue doing that.
Wow. Sounds like your 3 years has been pretty busy, and that's not even half of it, like everything you're involved in. But yeah, so with you, Thea, you are majoring in psychology, correct? Cool. So did you want to kind of go into that, like what your future plans are with that, if you have any? Because I know as a second year, I definitely did not know where I was going. But but yeah, so kind of go into the psych major, what interested you, and how you're finding the classes you're taking right now, and how it's like played a role in all the spaces that you're in.
So I wish I had like an articulate response to why I chose psych, but honestly, it was the only class in high school that I was just genuinely super interested in. And I mean, I guess it's gonna sound really stupid, but a lot of psychology facts through like Tumblr.
I love that. No, I'm here for it.
This is what I'm here for. This is what I'm trying to learn. So I just feel like I've just always had some type of fascination with like the human mind and how people interact with each other and why people interact the way that they do. And it just like you learn so much about yourself, and it makes the world make a little bit more sense.
Yes.
So it's like really cool that I mean, I feel it's really nice knowing that I'm going in a field that, one, I enjoy, and two, I feel like I can apply. Because when you're like learning like a squared plus b squared equals c squared, and you're
yes.
What am I gonna actually use?
Everyone, did you hear that? This woman like is speaking facts right now. I mean, okay, honestly, she is spitting facts coming from a previous STEM major. I respect both sides, but I have not once can say that I have confidently learned the unit circle. So there is that.
Honestly, I took calc my senior year of high school, and after the AP exam, it went out the window.
Maybe not. Yeah, I actually want to know why I'm feeling the way I do. Emotional processing. We love it.
Yeah, but going back to psych and like why I chose psych, I don't know. I just feel like it's gonna sound really like spiritual, I guess, but I feel like I've just had a calling to help people. I feel like that's why I was put here.
Love that.
And that's the whole reason why I wanted to go into like counseling or therapy, and the whole reason why I picked up the Asian Am minor, and I'm almost like certain I'm gonna just double major at this point, is that, one, I really love learning all the things that have been buried underneath the rug for like Asian Americans, but also there's a really big gap for therapy within the Asian American community, especially because like mental health is very much a suppressed topic. But I feel like with our progressive generation, I feel like we're more open to becoming or advocating for our mental health and stuff like that. So there's definitely going to be a need for therapists that have the capability to empathize with all the cultural differences, because there's definitely a lot of things that are really hard when you don't understand like a collectivist culture, and like when you're trying to be well-intentioned, sometimes it just comes off as insensitive. Because I remember one thing that struck to me was when I was watching Jen M on YouTube, and she was talking about how to search for a therapist or how to find the right one for you. She was talking about how what's it called? How one of her therapists, she was having a bad situation with her mother, and the therapist basically said like, "Oh, you need to cut her off." And that's the thing. You just don't do. You just don't do that in a lot of cultures. So it's really important to have that like empathy and understanding, and that's why I want to become like a therapist or somewhere in the psych major or psych field, especially in Asian American.
Wow.
Something that we really
very, very admirable. I love that.
Preach that. So with all this talk about classes and majors and everything like that, I gotta ask y'all, how was you guys' transition to online learning? Because for me personally, that was a whole experience.
I think we're all in the same boat. But yeah, what has been your guys', I guess, routine? Like, what has been keeping you grounded, like, throughout this process, or gives you the motivation to do the work that you do?
I'm gonna keep it real. I have no routine.
Honestly, she's spitting facts again, folks. Like, she's speaking for all of us.
If that ain't the most relatable thing I've heard all day, I don't know what is, man.
Yeah, I have the worst attention span ever. Just having to look at a computer screen the entire time, I just don't know what to do. But it makes me really upset because all the classes I'm taking are so interesting.
Oh, yes.
I feel like I can't give so, like, it's just so mentally taxing to be in one place for so long.
Yeah.
And, but I don't know, it's definitely difficult. For people who, like, this is their normal thing, doing online schooling, I commend you so much, because I genuinely don't know how I'm going to, like, continue.
Yeah. I think, like, people who feel like they got their lives together, you're probably lying. No, I'm just kidding. No, but respect to all of you guys who have, like, some sort of motivating factor and stability, because we're all just trying to figure everything out, one step at a time. But that's good to keep an optimistic mindset. So I'm glad you have that realization for yourself, and we are working towards, making the most out of it.
Yeah.
So
I think one thing though that definitely makes me feel like I got my life together just a little bit is definitely using like Google calendars and a passion planner, even though that passion planner is basically empty.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's definitely like just making sure that I have it organized on something definitely makes me feel a little less, I don't know, a little less jumbled up, and also just like knowing that it's okay for me to take a break. I've been picking up my ukulele a lot more. And all that stuff, and basically just doing things to combat my stress of online school, because I'm not gonna lie, it's very much there. I feel more stressed than I was the past 5 quarters I've taken. The most stress.
That's valid.
Thea, can you play us something?
Oh, I lost that one, didn't I?
Lemonade, please.
She said, if I have to say something, you have to dance for us.
Oh,
because you guys can't see your face. Yeah. So what about you, Bea? What is your kind of mechanism of surviving this whole whatever you call it?
So I think like something that I like definitely resonated with Thea was how my classes right now are pretty interesting. And a lot of my classes I have like friends with. So it just like makes me upset that we definitely could have just been like sitting next to each other in lecture halls and like texting each other when we're stressed out about stuff. I mean, we do still text each other when we're stressed out about like a platform, but I mean, I think it would have been nice to have, that kind of space, especially as an IDS major. I don't really know a lot of other IDS majors. So it was nice that I had some classes that overlapped with people who aren't even in my major. But yeah, the transition's definitely been kind of I guess like a roller coaster. In the beginning, it was so hard. To kind of literally change what spring quarter looked like to fit a virtual, to fit like remote learning. So that included like leaving my apartment in Westwood and completely transitioning back to like my house in the valley, and then just like figuring out how like my organizations are gonna end up going online, not all of that. But it's gotten a lot better, especially like recently. Just because I think like one, I just started accepting that this is how life is going to be for a while up until hey, up until it like goes away, I guess. But I think something that I definitely had to do in order to keep myself like grounded was really figure out what's important to me. Just because I found myself like getting so worried about different things and getting kind of upset, which is like definitely valid. Like we have like a right to be upset at so many different things. But I kind of wanted to stop being upset and like sad. So I had to realize like, okay, what are the top 3 things that are important to me? And I ended up like I kind of condensed everything to these 3 things. And the first one is like the good health of my friends and family. The second one is human connection. And the third one is an outlet for my creativity, my passions, etc. And every time I ended up getting kind of like stressed and upset, I kind of like looked at this list and used it kind of like a checklist. Like, okay, yep, all of my family and my friends, like they're still good, they're still fine. I still have like human connection, even if it all has to be virtual. And yes, I could still have like an outlet. I could still do things that make my soul happy. So I just had to like figure that out, and then the rest kind of followed suit.
Wow, love that. Yeah, I think just going off of those sentiments, I think, everyone just being in this very, very difficult and uncertain, circumstance in life is very just discouraging and kind of overwhelming at the same time. But I think you really made a good point, both of you, is just really recognizing and acknowledging the things you do have, because I think ultimately that's really is what's going to push us forward. And the strength of this community that we're a part of, whether it be space or like other communities at home and things like that, I think it's very important to acknowledge that those are essentially what is going to keep us moving forward. And we'll get there. For you guys who are listening at home, we will get through it one step at a time again. Just be grateful we are all in good health. And yeah, again, we're part of this amazing community. So definitely a lot to still be grateful for. So thank you guys for that. But you guys did mention a lot like of involvement outside of space. And I'm curious, and I'm sure the viewers at home are also curious. So we have a little list of things y'all have been involved in. So we'll just kind of piggyback off of each other. I'll let you guys do the honors. Bea, I know you have, I know both of you guys have, different organizations you're a part of, hobbies you like to do. So I'll let one of y'all take the lead and just impress the audience with the talent we have.
We got some talented prospects up in here. That's all I'm trying to say.
I'm trying to be humble. It's okay. We recognize that. We love it. We love to see it. All right. So I'll do the honors. So for Bea, let's get started with mobile clinic project, since I know that's definitely something that is emerging with applications and things like that. So what is this so-called organization known as Mobile Clinic Project?
Yeah, so the Mobile Clinic Project is an organization at UCLA that connects undergraduate students and medical students of UCLA. And we basically, I'm going to try to say it as simply as possible, but it definitely is a very complex organization. But we basically try to connect those experiencing homelessness and housing insecurities. We try to kind of like connect them to or connect them back into a continuum of care, whether that's like medical or social care. And how we do that is it's basically through like a street clinic So we have a truck that goes to the Salvation Army in WeHo every Wednesday night from like 6 p.m. to like around 9 p.m. And we basically have like we have medical students there, and we also have attendings there as well. So we connect with an individual who's experiencing homelessness, and they'll let us know what they're experiencing in terms of like medical conditions and medical issues that they have. But then the undergraduate, so my job is to be a caseworker, and we kind of deal more so with like the social work. So what kind of resources do you need? Do we have anything here on site that we can give you? So, trying to figure out all of that stuff. But then also a big component of this is advocacy and figuring out how to be a better advocate for these individuals, and kind of like sharing, spreading their stories, because they're all valid, they're all powerful, they're all empowering. And so it's just important for us to also take that aspect of advocacy, even though we do have like physical services, I guess, and we see them like every single week. Well, we used to, because of like the current pandemic, we haven't been able to do our weekly thing. We also have food serving. So that's basically, like what it sounds like, serving food. And then we have clinics on the weekend as well. And there's also like specific committee responsibilities, but I won't go too much in depth with that. But I think another important aspect that I should say about this organization is the rapport that we build with our clients. And I think, for us, it's like, I think for me, I definitely take it for granted that I have so many like different sources of human connection, through like whether that's like in the organizations that I'm in, my friends, my coworkers, all of that. Like there's human connection everywhere. Versus, when like the privileges that come with having a home, the privacy that comes with having a home is a lot of it is something that I like even forget. Human connection definitely is like one of them that these individuals don't always have. So being able to be that familiar face that they see every week is also such an important aspect and role in this organization.
Period. Yes.
I hope that makes sense. Mobile clinic apps are due this Sunday.
Plug it.
Watching. But yeah, amazing organization.
Yes.
So for Thea, so we did some research, and I'm not trying to sound like a creep. Don't worry, I didn't do any research. But I see that you're very interested in music and dance. So could you tell us a little bit about that?
Ooh, we got some hobbies spiraling up in here.
Yep.
Well, for music, honestly, music has been a part. It's so cliche, but honestly, music has been with me since the womb. One, because my mom, she sings and plays the piano, so I genuinely believe that like it's a genetic thing at this point. But I guess my music journey. One, I suck at creating music. I only play it. So
Love it.
yeah, I started off playing the piano. I'm really bad at it now, so I hope you guys don't ask me to play the piano.
We'd love to see it one day.
Yeah, and then, but when I started like diving into actually playing instruments was in 3rd grade with the violin, and that violin was my life
Fancy.
for like 5-6 years, and then high school happened and I couldn't do it anymore. So she's been in the corner for a while. I'm picking her up once like the quarter ends and stuff like that, so I can brush up, because I would hope it's muscle memory. But yeah, and then I self-taught the ukulele in like 7th grade, and then I've just always been singing because my mom was in the church choir, and I wanted to be like my mom. So
She picked up Lemonade one time or another.
I'd love to hear it.
What's your favorite song to play in any of these instruments?
Shit. I really like playing Cater to You on the ukulele. Just
Oh, what an OG.
I don't know. It's just like it's the more it's not advanced, but it's more than just strumming.
Yes.
But yeah, so I think definitely
Versatile, everyone.
yeah. So like whenever I play Cater to You, I like it's really like the perfect song just to kind of make a little medley. So yeah, I like to sing a lot of different songs.
Love it.
Little thing. For dance, I started dancing. Honestly, like really not unconventional, but what the time that I realized I liked dancing was when I realized how invested I was in Just Dance and Dance Central. Those things are what solidified my interest. Besides, like growing up watching ABDC, that definitely
Love it.
special place in my heart. But yeah, so I just like did a little hip hop dance crew thing that performed at rallies in high school. I never really did any formal training, which sucks because I really wish I danced at a studio because like I have a best friend and she competed at one of the studios here. I feel like I'm just rambling on, but
No, I love it.
fun fact: my first dance workshop was taught by Ian Eastwood.
Oh wow. She
I
said
don't-
100.
Yeah, I just said I'm gonna just dive straight into it, and I honestly don't know what I was thinking. It was definitely difficult, but it was a really good experience and all that stuff. And I was just probably just like staring at him the entire time.
Love the challenge. Love it. Love it.
Mesmerized. I fist bumped him after.
Wow.
So
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, you both, just looking at your involvement, you guys are both very well rounded in your spaces. So going off of the question in the chat here, what's the secret? What is your method of balancing everything? Like what keeps you grounded? What or who keeps you grounded, and like at the same time, like how do you guys do it? So with Bea, like I guess the whole admin thing and all these other involvements that you're a part of, just like what is the typical like the Bea strategy for making sure you know the burnout doesn't get to you?
I don't know if this is like a Bea strategy, but it's also going to sound very cheesy. But I think I really try to hold all of my tensions to heart. And that basically means like I just try to do everything with my heart and basically leading with love. And that sounds very, 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 very like cliche, but there's like such a I guess like, there's like some sort of strategy with this. So in terms of like avoiding burnout and making sure that I still am able to balance everything is really understanding what I need at a given point in time. So sometimes that looks like, oh, hey, y'all, like I can't go out tonight. I need to finish studying for this. Or it might even look like, hey, like this week's been so tough. Like, maybe I will go out and then I'll just like figure out schoolwork later on.
I think boundaries.
Yes, yeah, definitely like boundaries and just kind of like letting your own self guide your decisions instead of like listening or well, obviously like friends and family, like their thoughts and their opinions like matter. And it takes a lot of like learning about yourself to realize like what your body is like telling you, what your like subconscious is telling you and everything like that. Your own feelings, your own self, like is always looking out for you. At least that's how I think. Like I want to believe that like my heart knows what's best for me. So that's what I mean by kind of like leading with love and setting those boundaries and putting time not only to like myself, but putting my energy and like my love into places, spaces, and people that are going to kind of like uplift, amplify, and all of those things for me as well. Not saying that it's like always that kind of like like it's a kind of a give and take type of thing. But then more, I guess like logistically, keeping a planner is definitely helpful. Being transparent is also really, really, really important. So if you need help, if you need support, like reach out. Or okay, I don't know why I'm like saying as if it's like towards someone, like this is advocacy. So, you know, I try to be as transparent as I possibly can to people. Like, you know, that also goes with the whole like, hey, I can't make it tonight because of this reason, or hey, like I might need an extension for this thing. You know, just because like there's going to be people there to support you, and I think I've done, or not even just like me, but I think I'm so lucky that I've been surrounded by supportive and loving people in my life that I know that if I like fumble here and there, like someone's gonna be able to like push me back up.
Love it. One word, everyone, intention. Intention, and also purpose. It seems like you have a lot of purpose in these spaces, which is very admirable. So thank you for that. Thea, what word of advice would you give for, you know, incoming freshmen or just people who are also involved in these spaces? What's kind of your strategy or plan, or what's your whole mindset on it?
I feel like it just goes down to like intention and purpose, because I think that's why it made these things so easy. Not easy per se, but it made me feel like it's worth going through. Like
Yes.
figuring out all the time management and stuff like that is because I feel like I genuinely am invested and care about what every single thing that I'm doing. And when you know that you have genuine care and intent, it just makes all the little sacrifices worth it. And yeah, I don't know. I think it's just also realizing that like just being okay with not being able to get to everything, and realizing that you don't have to be like, you don't have to be on top of every single thing. If that makes sense. Not that you shouldn't be like succeeding or in every single thing, but it's okay to, you know, dial back when you need to, because you don't always have to be like, it's okay not to be okay.
Absolutely.
Realize, like, it's just really important to realize those things, because transitioning into college was definitely really, it was definitely a lot more difficult than I expected. And all that stuff. And just reminding yourself that little setbacks don't mean guaranteed failure. It's like a step back just means like, it's just part of the process. Like if you're one step back could make you, how do I explain that?
I'm following along. I got it.
But like basically, when you get put down, like that doesn't mean you can't get back up.
Yes, absolutely.
So yeah, just just being kind to yourself is one of those things, is to just, instead of being your greatest critic, be your biggest cheerleader.
Yes, I love that.
You're very much, you'd be surprised with how much your own personal dialogue affects you. Yeah, I think it's just stepping back and making sure you're talking to yourself as if you're like your best friend, because you, like, if you're struggling with things, you're not going to be telling your best friend like, oh yeah, you're so stupid. Like, yeah, you shouldn't do that. No, that's like, you're just going to feel like you just don't do that. So it's just like, you have to realize that you shouldn't be doing that to yourself, because you need to save some love for yourself.
I love that. Yeah, I definitely think putting that purpose and, you know, that self-respect into the spaces and the roles that you do is very essential, because, you know, that's the most genuine part about it. And I think despite, you know, all the setbacks and just falling short of the expectations that you and other people have of yourself, I think doing it for the right reasons is ultimately the most rewarding and most gratifying thing about it. So yeah, I commend both of you guys for sharing that. Yeah, so thank you. And we're transitioning to Dustin, who has a follow-up question.
Oh yeah. First of all, who's cutting the onions? Y'all got me inspirational up
Wait,
in here.
also, wait, no. Before we say that, I have a quick question, and you don't have to answer it. But do y'all even sleep? Like, looking at all of this, like, you guys make time for, you know, some napping or whatever. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, props to y'all for that.
Seriously, y'all sound like y'all got some busy things going on. But aside from the busy things, let's talk about some quarantine things. How have you guys been keeping you guys yourself? It's kind of like contradictory because I'm really about to ask how you guys are keeping yourself busy. But yeah, how have you guys been keeping yourselves like entertained or busy or things like that?
Mm-hmm.
I think one thing, this is low-key, okay. Kind of being forced to stay inside is low-key like an introvert's dream. For me, I'm definitely like an introvert that leans on the extroverted side, if that makes any sense.
Mhm.
I'm at the cusp of it. But after how, not hectic, but hectic winter quarter was for me,
Mhm.
I feel like it definitely, it's like I'm trying to find the positives of such a uncertain situation. I think one of them is that I finally have time to like just recharge and sit down because sometimes I just don't know when to stop.
I felt that one.
Yeah, so but what I've been doing to keep myself busy really is like I'm finally able to connect to a lot of my friends. So
Mhm.
I've been doing a lot of Zoom calls. I've been watching stuff on Netflix. I wish I wasn't obsessed with Outer Banks, but I've been obsessed with Outer Banks. So if y'all are looking for a little teen drama,
Ooh, noted.
just binge it. I binged it in like 1.5 days.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah, it was really bad.
Impressive.
But besides that, I think a big thing also is I like to deep dive on like Spotify and SoundCloud for new music. So that's
Mhm.
really cool because I feel like I haven't had the time to, especially like living in a triple dorm and me not knowing where my earphones went. You can't really listen to music at your at the time that you want to because you want to be respectful to your roommates. So now I kind of just finally have the time to like blast music no matter what time. Okay, well, maybe not blast music, but I could definitely listen to music any time of the day now that I have.
Now we bumping.
Yes.
Bump stuff.
Bump it.
Stay bumping.
My 2000s R&B and hip hop playlist. So
Oh my god, I love it. I
think
love it.
an hour.
Drop the link. Share the Spotify playlist.
Please.
I will drop that Spotify
Love
link.
it.
Be all nostalgic with me.
Yes.
I'm gonna need that for next week, you know. I'm gonna need some new music.
Every hour is simp o'clock here.
I'm playing my high school Filipino simp music right now.
Oh, I remade my Tumblr playlist.
Oh, you hear that, folks? She remade her Tumblr playlist.
Like, I don't know, like the 2012 Tumblr, was it like the SCM playlist or something like that? Does that, yeah. I think, I don't remember what my first song was, but dark times? Dark but great times.
Good times. Never forget. All right. Bea, what has been something that has kept you busy / occupied / grounded / motivated in this quarantine?
Let me think. So like I think when everything transitioned to remote learning, I kind of thought that I was gonna have more time. But I think because like we still have like school to do, that's just like filled in all of the gaps. You know, just like doing my readings for once and like doing all of those things. I think like it like school's taken up most of it, but I've started working out actually, even though I've been like saying that for the longest time ever. But quarantine definitely allowed me to start doing that more consistently. I've also been dancing again, so I was on Samahang Modern for 2 years, and then my 3rd year, I decided to stop, even though I still miss it. So I started dancing again, and that's brought back a lot of like, I don't know, it's just been a lot of fun. And then I like started making a lot of videos that like kind of just got pushed in the back burner type of thing, like vacation videos. So that's been a lot of fun too. But yeah, kind of just like being really nostalgic, low key.
Yeah, I'm sure we can all relate.
Don't get me started.
I know. Oh yeah, honestly, with the time being, like I feel like this whole being alone, like to yourself, your own company type of thing really just opens up like your eyes to, you know, the reality of what the circumstances are and like how it's essential to, you know, just really dive into like our own like selves and like what we really need out of this. So good to know that you guys are making the most out of it, even though sometimes we lack that motivation. We're in it together. So yeah, just taking it back a little bit again, kind of the overarching theme, I guess, or the idea that we want to cover. You both are a part of like so many spaces, and like what you got out of space and internship and just like everything about what this organization had to offer. What is like one thing that you would tell your high school self? Because I know we're all very different, and the transition, like you mentioned, is not easy. There's a lot of self-realizations we had to make and just different ideas that we had to be receptive and open-minded to. So just kind of comparing like where you were before and like comparing it to where you are now, just kind of reflect on that and like what would like you specifically say to your previous selves?
I think I would say that life will get easier when you start loving yourself first. And that's something that like honestly I didn't really like start learning about until I reached college, when I figured out that like, you know, I guess like the biggest transition from like high school and college is that a lot of our like we kind of gain a lot of independence. Like we get to choose like classes, we get to choose organizations, who we're going to live with, roommates, like all of that stuff. Like it's like up to us to figure out. And because of that, it was like really important to get myself involved into things that align with what matters to me. And in order to figure that out, I had to really understand like what love even means to me, and like how I can even like love myself first and all of that stuff. And I think like in high school, I wasn't a priority, you know, and I think like Thea kind of touched on this. Like I think instead of being like my biggest cheerleader in high school, I think I was like my number one enemy, you know, like no one doubted myself more than I did. And that's something that definitely not set me back in a way, but it definitely made things hard. And it made things difficult to like see that I'm worthy of anything in terms of like, oh, like even like applying to college, it was like hard to like really put myself in shoes where I'm like, oh, I don't know how to explain it, but I remember thinking like, why am I even applying to these colleges? Like, do I really think I have like a shot at it? And I don't think I've ever like talked to myself as like lowly as I did. Lowly is even a word, as like low as I did as a senior. Um, so yeah, I think that's like something that I would tell like my high school self, that you know, life will get easier when you learn how to love yourself first, and everything after that is just going to make sense. Like life and how people interact with you and how you interact with the world, like things are just going to start aligning, things are going to start making sense. And it's not just up to me to make the world make sense, because the universe has like, I mean, I'm kind of like, that's kind of like something that I believe in, you know, kind of close to like Bahalana, the idea that like the stars and like the ancestors, and there's just something about the universe that is like part of me, but also like on my side. So there's systems in place that aren't going to let me fail. And once I like fully give the universe that trust, then things are just going to like make sense. They're going to come together. All of that.
Dustin, are you cutting onions?
I thought that was you.
Woo! It is a little misty up in here.
Why my eyes sweating for it?
Oh, wow. She really hit us with that one.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm just a little speechless. She an onion. All right, Thea. Bring us home.
I really resonated a lot with what Thea had to say. I definitely, like, as I got out of high school and stuff like that, I definitely adopted this whole thing of that things are meant to play out the way that they're meant to play out, and even if I don't like it and it's not the way that I wanted to, it's okay. Like it's going to make sense in the long run. And like if I were to speak to my high school self, I think the biggest thing I would tell her is that you're worth so much more than you give yourself credit for. Because I feel like a lot of people relate in the sense that high school is a very self-deprecating time.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to fall into like self-loathe and stuff like that. And I think a lot of that played into why I had such big imposter syndrome my first year. And I wish I could tell myself that I was worth so much more because I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Yes.
And I just wish I was able to realize that more, because I feel like that's something that helped me back my first year and helped me back from like being more adventurous with my decisions of like what I should do or what I should get involved in, instead of like telling myself, oh, you definitely just finessed the system, you're not supposed to be here. Like I really wish I could take what I know now and like be more loving to myself.
She's also an onion.
All right, I didn't know y'all wanted to make hella beefsteak or something. Oh my god. My eyes. Why are they sweating for? Who's cutting? Please.
He is sweating. All right, Dustin, you got anything? I got nothing. That took it away.
Damn. From all this, what I got was who or what inspires you guys to do the work that you guys do?
Oh, we get into the deep.
Yeah, we need more onions. You know, we're trying to feed hella people with this beefsteak.
Vulnerability is a strength. You said it yourselves.
Yep.
Yeah, take a sweet moment to think about it. This is a very, very thought-provoking question. But I definitely think it's essential for us to remind ourselves of, the support we have. So either one of you.
I think the first thing that like popped into my head is my beloved Philippines. That's constantly like such a huge motivating factor and source of inspiration. And I think that's kind of like it encompasses a lot of different things. Like when I say, my beloved Philippines, I'm talking about like the country in itself. I'm talking about like how it literally bred like the most like resilient and powerful people that like continue to inspire me today. That also includes my ancestors, that includes my family that are still there in the Philippines, that includes my own family, even if they're like here in America. Like there's just so much source of inspiration, even when you just look at like the different cultures found in the different like provinces and the different regions. The fact that like it's made up of made up of like thousands of islands, and each island has its own uniqueness to it. Like just learning about the history, the culture, everything is so motivating. But yeah, like I mentioned, like my family is a source of inspiration and motivation as well. And I'm not going to go like too in depth with it, even though like I definitely can. But my parents and my sisters have taught me a lot of different things that I still hold dear to like myself, and it's definitely shaped the way that I look at life and how I lead my own life. But there's also like individuals that are like my friends from like high school to even like in college. There's so many different people, and if I even tried to like name them, then this would go on forever. But like I mentioned earlier, that I am very grateful to have like such a supportive system, or I guess like supportive group of people around me, and everything that they do is just so powerful because they take their life in their own hands, and like what they do with it is like so unique. Every single person has a different passion, and every single person has a different way of showing it, and just like seeing all of them glow and grow is such a privilege in itself. So I think just like surrounding myself with inspiration is a very grounding thing as well.
More tears, more tears.
I think for me, my biggest inspiration is definitely my mom. And
Mm.
for me, I was born in the Philippines, but I came here when I was about 9 months old.
Oh,
And
wow.
my mom came here with me and my brother, who's 7 years older than me. But she essentially was living the single mom immigrant life for the first 3 years that we were here in America. So a lot of what I do is thinking about being able to give my mom the stress-free life that she deserves, because I feel like I feel like I haven't seen her not stressed, and it really it's just really, I just hate seeing it, and I really want to be able to give back for everything that she's given to me and my brother. And another thing, I'm very inspired by my brother. Honestly, me and my brother are like, oh, they can't see me, but we are tight. We are very close, and I always admire him a lot because he's put in so much work, and I see his work ethic. And now that he's a graphic, no, he's not a graphic designer. He's gonna kill me if I said that. He's a concept artist at Treyarch, which is the company that works with Activision. So they work on Call of Duty and stuff like that.
Wow.
All the things that he was striving for so many years, and seeing how he never gave up even when he felt like he just kept getting setbacks, is really something that drives me to do, just to push and like see myself succeed. Yeah, and like Bea said, like having a whole bunch of your friends and family support is really something that helps a lot. I'm really blessed to have so many, like, have friends that are super creative and all that stuff, and seeing what they do and them thriving and in their different paths.
Yes.
Really just, it's just like watching your children grow up. I feel like I'm watching my kids succeed and thrive, and it's something that I love, like seeing, just seeing everything that they've worked for throughout these years basically pan out is really cool and encouraging and motivating in and of itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. And like, most importantly, like, I do it for myself too. Like,
there it is. Period.
That's on what?
It's not selfish to do things for yourself.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Wow, they are speaking facts. And I think like the overarching thing that both of you guys mentioned was that it's like to have these things or these people, like this support, be the center of what we do, and like the way we operate and the way we perceive, these things and opportunities that come our way is like the most rewarding part about it. And it definitely shows in both of your work. And I think that just takes us to overall like the importance of space and like what it has done to your life, and like the way it's enhanced just every single encounter that you've had in your college experience and continuing forward. Wow, that was a good place like to just take us to, wrapping it up. So do you guys have any questions, or what are like some last words you want to say to our space? You guys kind of said a lot already, but just if you were to just sign us off, like what is one message you want to say to your beloved space community?
Y'all can also plug, anything, social media, y'all's platforms. This is y'all's time. And I probably should have said this earlier, but y'all could have asked us like any questions. I'm sorry, but if y'all have any questions now,
all about them.
We can say like a quick spiel. Feel me?
I think for me, the last thing that I want to say, even though I think like y'all kind of like could like tell from it, but I really, really want to highlight Thea and say that like, I've like known about her, but I didn't really get to know her until this past quarter. And as internship coordinator, you kind of have a say as to who your spuds are going to be. But so yeah, I really wanted like Thea and Jade. Jade is our other Wintern spuds.
Real quick, what does spuds mean?
Oh, spuds is like space buddies. So basically it's an accountability system, but it's also, just to kind of build community. So Thea is my spuds. And yeah, so like I think every time she spoke, and even right now, like every time she spoke in internship and here, like you just have this like, I don't know, like Thea has this energy where you just feel so captivated towards, and like you just like want to hear every single syllable that comes out. Like there's so much passion, there's so much intention with every single word she says, and there's a reason why she's saying the things that she's saying. And that literally just comes from being able to talk, with your heart and being able to be vulnerable and kind of like set that presence. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to talk about Thea a little bit more, just because like I'm pretty sure the audience can tell that she is such a powerful Thanai, and I look up to her so much, and I love you dearly because I can see you, but I love you so much, Thea. And I miss you.
And that's on spuds.
Bro, I'm for real gonna start crying.
Do it. We'd like to see it. I'm just kidding.
Yo, the onions.
I also just want to say that like I don't want to say like it's in the cards because I know Bea definitely had a she definitely had a little say in it. So maybe the cards were what's it called? Not fumble, but definitely there's some y'all get the gist.
Yeah,
but
we got it.
Basically, I don't want to like I don't know, like anyone that knows Bea definitely knows that she like she says she like lives with her heart and all that stuff. Like it's just with every single thing that she does, and just her walking into her room is very much like just you can just feel all the love and passion. She's definitely like it's as if you just threw a ball of sunshine into a room, and that's how it is when Bea comes in. And
Agreed.
It's just I'm really grateful that we were paired up as spuds, because I feel like we're very in sync with a lot of things. And I definitely like I don't know, it's just hearing the way that Bea talks is very soothing and very it's just it makes you feel like you're gonna be okay. Just every single time I'm with Bea and all that stuff. It just makes you feel like you're gonna be okay.
So we are having onions for dinner.
We said it's affirmation time.
It is. Wow. She
Yo,
said
we told them to plug themselves, They plug each other.
I'm here for it. I'm living for it, and I love it. I love the passion both of y'all put in your spaces and each other. Like the connection y'all have is very inspiring, reassuring as well. So honestly, that really wrapped it all up. You heard it here, folks. Like
That's love.
I think
That's love right there.
That is. Well, thank y'all for joining us again, to Bea and Thea, for taking the time to talk about your experiences. We definitely loved hearing the insights for both, the SIC perspective, the Bea perspective, and the Thea perspective as well. So thank you for that. Before we close out, we have a few announcements that we'd like to plug. So throughout all of this week, we'll be celebrating the 20th and 30th year anniversary of SPACE and SPEAR. SPEAR stands for Samahang Filipino Education and Retention, and is a retention project that serves current Filipinx American students at UCLA. This anniversary celebration will take place online and started yesterday actually, and will end this Friday, May 22nd. So it'll feature different topics and guests every day in the efforts to recognize the work of both of our projects, as well as raise money for the Bayanihan Center's community response to COVID-19 fund. That was a mouthful. But again, please follow us on social media for more information at Space at UCLA. That's SPACATUCLA. Spelling bee champ right there. And yeah, so Maxine, our beloved Carson staff is actually the MC for today, so go on, support her. And lastly, Space admin apps are due tonight at 11:55, not 59. So make sure you get on that. As well as Spear, who is also hiring. So look into more of that on our social media. But for now, we are going to close out with something we do after every Samahang Filipino event called the Unity Clap and the Sangbagsak. So the Unity Clap originates from the 1960s United Farm Workers Movement in Delano, California. Larry Itliong and Philip Veracruz led the Delano Grape Strike, in which Filipinx and Chicanx farm workers fought together for better working conditions. The Unity Clap signaled the end of a workday and helped to overcome the language barrier between Filipinx and Chicanx farm workers. So we start with our hand on our heart, and the clapping begins like a slow heartbeat, then becomes faster and louder to mimic the speed and power of the UFW movement.
And the Sangbagsak originates from the 1980s People's Power Revolution in the Philippines, which was a demonstration of civil resistance against martial law and Marcos dictatorship. The Tagalog phrase Isang Bagsak translates to one down, but in Samahang Filipino, we interpret it as if one falls, we all fall, and if one rises, we all rise. The joining of the Unity Clap in Isang Bagsak was coined by a former UCLA student named Art Nelson. And after the Unity Clap, we end by saying Isang Bagsak and close out with a single clap. We continue to use this tradition to signal the end of each event and to remember our manongs who fought in solidarity for their rights.
Yeah, and in Space, we like to end it all off by motioning our right hand upwards and saying space. And so if you are willing and able to, please join us by placing your right hand over your heart. And all together now. Woo! All right, take us home. Isang Bagsak. Space. All right, thank y'all and enjoy the rest of your night and tune in for next week for our new episode of Space Pod.
Yep, and don't forget to follow the Twitch, you know. If y'all are watching on Twitch, don't be afraid to follow. Show us that support. We appreciate every single one of you. On YouTube, if y'all are watching this, please don't be afraid to like, comment, subscribe. If you liked the podcast, please, we love your support. Thank you very much for watching.
Signing off.
Peace out.